Hi, Herbal family. It is Christy Edwards, owner and chief herbalist of Sage House Apothecary. It has been a minute since I've been on here, and I do apologize. My desire was to do a weekly cadence of these videos. But let me tell you, Hunty, I have been booked and busy, which is great. It's good. I'm not complaining whatsoever. But I have been extremely busy this month. And then also, it's my birthday month. I had my birthday on October 12th. We had a fabulous time. So I was traveling. I also did a lot of traveling this month too. So things have been a little busy, but I am now grounded. I am here. And so now this episode or this episode, I'm going to share about working with Yarrow. Remember back in the day, like a couple months ago, I said I wanted to do an herb of the month. Yeah, so I kind of fell off. I'm a little delayed with that, but I am an entrepreneur who is balancing working a full-time job with balancing a part-time business. And my business has been busy of late. So please accept my apologies, but I'm here now. And I really want to get to a point where I'm able to churn these videos out more frequently. So let's get started. Let's talk about Yarrow. So initially, I was thinking it was going to be so easy, like, oh, I'm just going to talk about Yarrow and I'm going to share my experience. I'm going to work with this herb for the whole month and I'm going to share with everyone what I experienced and what happened. And honestly, I didn't even need a whole month. 2 weeks is really all I needed. So I did take some notes because for me and my brain, I like to make sure that I am staying on point with what I need to discuss. So yarrow is an herb, it's a plant, and I actually have, I don't have it with me, but I do have, in my herbal course, we needed to create monographs of all of the herbs that we study. There was a whole list, and I do have a monograph of yarrow if anyone is interested in purchasing that from me, but it required a lot of work and a lot of research, I will tell you. So it's pretty in-depth. My monograph talks about the history of yarrow, how people are utilizing yarrow, the benefits, the pros and the cons, and contraindications, the energetics of yarrow. I also discuss like how people work with yarrow spiritually. A lot of people, like hoodoo practitioners, utilize yarrow in their spiritual work. And so I share all of that stuff in my monographs. And I also share like how ancestrally it can be utilized as well. So if you're interested, just send me a message, let me know. That is my dog making noise. So feel free to ignore him. So let me share with you first what I discovered working with Yarrow. So initially when I started, I think this was back in September. This was back in September when I started working with Yarrow, and it was like leading into the fall phase of allergy season. And I don't know about you, but the older that I get, I'm realizing that there are things that will come to the surface that I never dealt with before. And allergies is one of them, especially seasonal allergies. I've never had allergies before. I'm not allergic to anything. I'm not allergic to food. I'm not allergic to animals, but now that I'm getting older, I'm finding that I have seasonal allergies. So one of the things that I quickly noticed about working with yarrow is its ability to um, basically settle the histamines in my system. So when I was getting like sneezy and my nose was running and had the, that tickle in your throat that is not comfortable, when I drank yarrow, I would say in like a couple of minutes, less than 10 minutes, it was gone. It went away. And also for my eyes, itchy, watery eyes, yarrow also helped with that as well. So that is something that immediately I saw when I started drinking yarrow. So what I did is I made a tea. So this is my loose leaf yarrow. I think the brand that I used, or that I shared in my on my Instagram page was from Buddha Teas. They have high quality loose herbs. So, but this is, and I'm not going to recommend using this jar to house your herbs because it allows for too much air to get in. So you really want to get something that has a tighter seal around the edges. And that doesn't, I mean, this is cute. Of course, this is cute. This is why I got it, because it's cute, but it's not practical. I also labeled it too. But so yarrow, loose leaf, I have a filter or like one of the little tea metal canisters with the little arms that you can just sit on top of your mug. Shameless plug. This is actually my mantra mug. It is, let me share this with you all. My cup is abundantly filled. So while you are sipping, drinking your tea, coffee, you can read this message to remind you of you are the creator of your world. You can manifest the world that you desire. So yes, my cup is abundantly filled. When I tell you that I have been booked and busy, Mama has been booked and busy, and I appreciate that. So yes, I'm abundantly filled. But so yarrow, see, this is why I need notes, y'all. So yarrow, this is it loose. Let me see if I can show you all a better image. So this is the loose leaf. And what you do is you just put it in a little metal container and then put your mug under the hot water and it goes through and it helps to filter out the water, but the herbs don't get in your cup unless they're very, very tiny particles of plants that may get into your cup. But yarrow, it has a very earthy smell. I'm gonna be honest, it reminds me a lot of like chamomile. It has like this grassy but like sweet chamomile scent to it. And so one of the things that I want to share some of my notes from you, I mean, that I took with you all to share like what I wrote down about yarrow and like some of the energetics that I got from yarrow. Yeah, it has this very grassy, but then it has this sweet back end undertone. I don't know how else to describe it, but it's not like it's not in your face right away sweet, but it's just like on the back end of when you smell it. Let me put this up. All right, so my notes. So yarrow, I cannot believe I took these notes on September 11th and it is October 29th. So it's very sweet smelling. It reminds me of an earthy chamomile tea, which is what I shared with you all. It does have a bitter taste. So um, when you are infusing or allowing it, decocting your tea, not decocting, that's for roots, but when you are infusing your tea into the water, I would make sure that you do not let it sit for too long, because if you let it sit for too long, then it will be bitter. Not to say that that's a bad thing for some of you that like the bitter taste or the bitter flavor. It's not a bad thing. I will say that bitters help with digestion. So if you're one of those people who want to try yarrow and who, need some digestive assistance, yarrow is probably a good herb for you to try. Um, so it's bitter in taste. So I mentioned it helps with digestion. It is a slight astringent. So an astringent is, think of toning and tightening of these tissues. And so yarrow does dry things out. So anytime you have an astringent is going to dry things out. And it's also going to tighten and tone the skin. I don't know why I'm doing this with my fingers and my hands, but whatever, that's how I talk. So that's something that I do want you all to be aware of. So yes, it is a little bit, does have some drying. So again, when I mentioned the nasal drip that I was having with the allergies, the watery eye, it dried all that up. I noticed immediately when I drank it, again, less than 10 minutes, the sneezing stopped. The runny nose stopped. Yarrow is also good with cleansing blood. So if you want to consider working with this tea to detox or clean your blood, this is a good herb for you to work with. It's also very gentle, which is something that I appreciate. There are some herbs that have a very potent flavor, and it can also feel kind of strong to the system, but yarrow is very mellow and very gentle, and that's something that I really appreciate. Um, Also, this herb just gives me a very airy energy. I don't know how to explain it, but when I meditated with the herb as well, and it just has like this real free energy that I noted, and so I'm just sharing that with you all. Something else that I noted when drinking this tea is that the energy moved up from my head. So when I drank the tea, the tea is settling down into my system. The energy of the herb move up this way. And you'll find, like, once you start sitting with herbs and you start working with herbs or meditating with herbs, you can feel the energy that they bring. And so this particular energy moved up to the head. It's also very aromatic. So that lets you know when something is very fragrant and aromatic. That'll let you know that it's very high in volatile oils, which is what gives it that aroma. Um, Also, when I was meditating with this, and I didn't realize that I had took this note, but yarrow, so these are some intuitive messages that came through from me working with yarrow. It stands the test of time. So it's something that is there, like yarrow has been around for ages, and that explains why I got that message, of course. And it's also a healer herb. It helps not only with the blood cleansing, I'll also share some other properties too, but it's also a great herb for healing, which is why I use it in my calendula and comfrey salve. And so this is a really great salve. Shameless plug. This is a really great salve to use if you have eczema or you have psoriasis or you have any type of inflammatory skin issues. My calendula and comfrey herbal salve is a really great way to get your skin back to balance and to reduce that inflammation. One thing about yarrow is, this is kind of a note of caution, is if you are on blood thinners, this is not an herb that you want to be drinking. I would recommend that you speak to your primary care physician before you start drinking this herb. And then also, if you have ragweed allergies, you definitely want to be cautioned with drinking this tea. So um, I will also note that some people believe that in drinking yarrow, it'll start your cycle. I didn't have that problem. Um, that is called an herbal emmenagogue, and I think I'm going to do a video, not I think, I am going to do a video on the different herbal actions just to explain like what each of them mean. And I'll just do a basic one. I do also have an ebook on my website for purchase. I think it's also through my Stan store that has it's like an ebook of herbal actions of different herbs, just so that when someone uses like an astringent or a menagogue or a diuretic or a bitter, something like that, you know what that means. So yeah, so some people do believe that yarrow is an emmenagogue, which means it'll start your cycle. But again, I didn't have that issue at all. But traditionally, herbs that tend to stimulate cycles, they either stimulate cycles that have been absent or they help to reduce cycles. Those are herbs like motherwort, rue, partridge berry, I think is just another one. But another thing about yarrow is that it does contain phytoestrogens, which is their plant-derived chemicals. And so they can act as estrogen receptors in the body. And so yarrow can help balance female hormones by covering for deficiency and blocking any excess of estrogen, which is why I think most people may get that emmenagogue action from working with yarrow. So just wanted to share that. Also, I do have some additional notes that I took about yarrow that I wanted to share with you all. I would also love to hear your feedback on whether or not this video is helpful. Be sure to like and subscribe. And I would love to hear, what would you like to hear from me as an herbalist? Or what would you like to hear from me as a Reiki practitioner? What are some questions that you have? What are some things you would like to know? Would you be interested in me doing more like this is how you make type videos? Because I do want to do more of those. Again, I think my time is slowing down now because I was doing on Saturdays, I was vending at a farmer's market, bringing Sage House products there. So Saturdays were very busy for me. And Saturdays were the day that I would record. But then if I had product that I had to prepare for the vending event, then I would use that time to make the products because I like making my products, to order, or I like to make them fresh. So when I go to vending events, I don't want to have product that I'm selling that have just been sitting there. But okay. So yeah, let me know what you would all like to, if there's anything specifically that you would like for me to talk about, because I would love to talk about it. And also, I'm not gonna lie that there are probably several things that I'm still learning and still don't know. So if you ask me about something, I don't mind doing the research and letting you know, like, hey, you know what? I don't know, but I can find out because I'm resourceful. All right. So I'm just checking out my notes and making sure that I'm covering everything. So the one really great thing about herbs that I like is that, not only are herbs used for medicine, a lot of herbs, actually a lot of the pharmaceutical drugs that are out there on the market, they were created based off of the herbal medicines that happen naturally. So for instance, willow bark. Willow bark is good for reducing pain. Well, willow bark is used to make aspirin. So that's kind of that's what I'm talking about. But in addition to that, one of the other things that I love about herbs is that they also have their own spiritual energy and signatures that people can utilize when they're working with them. So you can use herbs to create, some people use them for spells, some people use them in mojo bags. Herbs can be used for anything. So you can either take them in as medicine or you can utilize their energy or spiritual characteristics to do whatever whatever work you and like to do on the side. No judgment here. So you can also use herbs for spiritual purposes. Okay, so health benefits of yarrow. Let's talk about it. I mentioned Yarrow's been around for ages, which is why that whole standing the test of time came through for me. This dates all the way back to ancient Greece, but it's packed with a lot of medicinal properties. And I definitely believe that yarrow is one of those herbs that you want to have on hand all the time in your herbal apothecary or your kitchen apothecary. You definitely want to have yarrow. It's a really great herb. It's good for wound healing. So yarrow can also be used to stop bleeding. That's another herbal action that we can talk about, and heal wounds. It's known as the soldier's herb specifically for this reason, because back in the day it was used as a poultice, putting on, like if someone got cut or there was bleeding, you would create a poultice, get like a let's just say like a rag or something, put the herb in there, put some oil in there, and just put it on top of the wound, and it would help to stop the bleeding. Um, It's also good for cuts and bruises, which is why I have it in this salve. It's really good for inflammation. It's also good for digestive health. It helps to reduce bloating and cramping, and it's great for helping to calm an upset stomach. Yarrow is also good for menstrual relief. So for those of you who have painful periods, I mentioned to you that yarrow helps to balance out the hormones, and so that helps to alleviate cramps. And you can also take this as a tincture, which is a real great way of, carrying things around you. So this isn't yarrow, but I'm just going to share. This is one of my tinctures. But you can just carry this around with you, drop a couple drops in your mouth, of course, follow the directions, and bam, there you go. You can carry it with you. So yarrow is also good as an anti-inflammatory, which is why it's in my salve. It has really great compounds to help with anti-inflammatory. I'm sorry, it has great compounds to help with inflammation. I can't even talk. I'm so sorry. It has great compounds to help reduce inflammation in the skin. And so it helps reduce pain, it helps reduce swelling in the body. This is a really great herb to have. And it's like, I don't want to call it basic, but it's just, I think it's one of those like really good basic herbs to have. Like everyone should have yarrow in their kitchen. So one of the easiest ways to work with yarrow is as a tea. I shared that with you. You can either get yarrow that's already made in a tea bag, or you can use loose leaf tea, as I like to use. And it's funny because I never thought that I would ever be someone who uses loose leaf tea. But yarrow is really great. So again, I mentioned you don't want to steep it for too long. You can use like 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried herbs of yarrow, put in the hot water. I would say steep it for 5 to 7 minutes. You don't want to go for too much longer, because then I mentioned it will become a little bitter, but it's great for digestive issues. It's great for menstrual pain, and it's also good for boosting your immune system. So this is a really great all-around tea. Okay, so let's talk about spiritual uses of yarrow. So, moving into the spiritual side of this herb, there are several cultures who use this herb for protection, divination, and love spells. So you can utilize the energy of the herbs to do anything. Some people even, again, it's really interesting because, we don't think of herbs as like having an energy, just like crystals have an energy. But herbs actually do. And when you tap into the herbs, they will actually communicate with you. They'll share things with you. You'll notice little things like, oh, this herb is cooling. Oh, this herb is hot. This herb um, is bringing me back to like childhood. And so maybe it's like, herbs help in so many different ways. So when you start working with a herb, that's why I wanted to work with the herb for a month, to just see like, okay, what comes out. Let me see what's going to come out of working with this herb. But you can use it for protection. So yarrow has been used in times to ward off negative energy. You can place it by your front door. You can carry a sprig of yarrow in your pocket, or you can even burn it to cleanse the space. And truth be told, you might want to burn this instead of burning sage or Palo Santo, because again, those are from other cultures, and we really want to be respectful of other cultures, or at least even honor those who have provided the herbs to us before we burn it. Instead of just like grabbing something and burning it, just take a moment and really give thanks, gratitude, and honor to the herbs and to the people who brought the herbs, so that we may have access to them. It's just a way to respect and honor the cultures who are gifting us access. That's just something that we talked about in my herbal class. But in terms of more like spiritual work, Yarrow has been used in divination and psychic abilities. And so this herb is known to enhance your intuition and psychic powers. Ancient Chinese practices utilize it, divination ways, like divination practices like the I Ching. They even use yarrow stalks, STALKS. Yarrow can also be used for emotional healing. It's a powerful herb to use for emotional healing and setting boundaries. So again, like these are some of the characteristics that you may find when you're working with herbs, that it'll show you certain things that you can do. Spiritually, it also helps to strengthen your energy field. It will also protect you from absorbing other people's energy. So if you are an empath, if you're very sensitive, being out amongst people or crowds, this is a really great herb to either keep with you. You can drink it, carry it in your pocket, just make sure that you set your intentions on why you or how you want to work with the herb, and the herb will work with you. You can also, love and courage. So in some folk traditions, yarrow has been used for love spells or it was carried for courage in battle. So it's said to strengthen relationships and to build inner strength. And so again, we were talking about boundaries earlier. So because of that, this is probably a reason why it's good for building that inner strength, because it helps you to create those boundaries and to protect yourself. So this is, again, a really great herb. I'm even learning more about it I learned more about it as I was doing some research for this recording. So let's see, another way that you can work with yarrow is infusing oil. Again, let me know if this is something that you would love or like for me to share on how to infuse oil. Infusing oil is very simple, and it's a really easy way to incorporate not only the healing benefits from the herb, but the spiritual characteristics of that herb into your oil. So you can take some almond oil, any type of carrier oil, almond oil, coconut oil, jojoba oil, whatever oil that you like. And then you can add dried yarrow to it and let it sit. And then eventually you can put it in the sun, but you don't want to have it in direct sunlight, because then the UV rays will impact the quality of the herb, or the herbal properties that you're wanting to get out of it. The UV rays will kill those. So you don't want it in direct sunlight. You want to put it like in a brown bag, put it in a dark space in the closet, like my closet, which you could probably see it's closed, but I have tons of herbs back there. That's like my little apothecary back there. But yeah, infusing oil is another great way. You can use it in rituals. It can be applied to your skin to invite protection and healing. And I like to infuse my oils for 4 to 6 weeks. If you can't wait and you want it sooner, what you can do is put oil, like use a double boiler, put the herb in there, pour the oil on top and boil it. And then once it has, and you can maybe put it down on a low flame for like a couple of hours. And then once you're done, then you can filter the oil out or filter the herbs out so that you're just left with the oil, and then put it in a container. I'll just show my tincture bottle, but I like the amber colored bottles that will keep your herbs, your oil nice and stabilized for some time. But the way that I use my oils like quite frequently, so I don't really have them like in my dark closet, but they are up and out of the way and out of the sun. So make sure to keep them out of the sun. So, but yeah, just in closing, yarrow is a very versatile herb, and initially I wasn't really sure about it. I wasn't sure if it was an herb for me, because what are some herbs that I'm really into? Rosemary. I'm really into rosemary. Rosemary is great for memory and ancestral work. Cinnamon is great. I love cinnamon. Cinnamon is helps to bring moisture. It's like very it it can be slimy. So if you put cinnamon and water, it gets like mucilage, like, mucusy. That brings in, it will bring in, it'll bring in moisture into your system, into your body. But cinnamon is also good for prosperity, being prosperous and prosperity. So, I'm sure you all have heard or maybe have not heard, but there are some people, I'm one of those people. There are some people who will utilize cinnamon every month at the beginning of the month to bring abundance and prosperity into their house by blowing cinnamon into their door. So you are blowing in prosperity into your home. But yeah, those are just some simple herbs that I like to work with, but I did not think that yarrow would be one of those herbs that I would work with, but here I am talking about it. And it is a really wonderful herb to work with. Again, just be mindful of some of the contraindications that you may have when drinking this herb. Again, if you are on blood thinners, this is not an herb that you want to work with. So this is my take on yarrow. You definitely want to have this in your kitchen apothecary or whatever you would like to call it. But it is a very easy herb to work with. It's versatile. You can use it as a tincture, you can drink it as a tea, you can use it as an oil, as much as, actually that's how many of the herbs that I work with are. But yeah, I definitely recommend including this in your apothecary. And then also let me know before I end, be sure to like, share, subscribe, follow me, and let me know what you would like for me to talk about. Again, I'm still working out all of the kinks of being on YouTube, getting used to this type of setup. I haven't gotten yet to the point of editing, but I love making these videos. I hopefully they will become better as I start practicing and I create a format for these, but I would love to hear from you. I really appreciate those who are following this channel, but I did want to share and follow my word and make sure that I came back and shared with you what I discovered in working with yarrow. So what should the next herb of the month be? Let me know in your comments. And I'm so thankful that you have spent this time with me. And I look forward to growing this channel and I look forward to sharing more things with you. And if there's anything that you would like to share with me, this is the space for us to share and for us to learn. But thank you so much for being here. Again, this is Christy Edwards, owner and chief herbalist of Sage House Apothecary. Thank you so much and have a blessed day. Peace.